It's the next morning. It's in the 30s and we got 20-mile-an-hour wind gust, but it's only going to get colder for the rest of the week. So I'm going to fire harden this recurve on a new fire hardening jig, and I'll just watch it. I'll be able to go in and out of the house to keep an eye on it and try and stay warm. But I had the extension gutter on. I removed the extension gutter because it's a shorter bow. So I have my, you've seen from the last recurve, those were aluminum trays that I just shaped so I could pile the coals higher on the ends. Okay, we're gonna load it up with tin foil and get it ready and light it up. Okay, we got the fire going. Got to give it another 10 minutes or so for the coals to catch, and then we'll start cooking. It's gonna go through a lot of coals today because of the wind and the cold. It's so cold and windy out today that I had to add even more coals to get the right temperature. So it's got to cook a little more before I even test for the height. I'm going to test the heat now. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Just the ends. The ends are because of the curve is a little cooler. I'm going to build up some coals, but usually what I'll have to do is, like, for an extra half an hour is just dedicate cooking the curve ends too. I've built up coals on the end higher. Hopefully it'll cook it, and like I said, if I have to give it extra, I'll give it extra, but we're trying to get it cooked as we're cooking the rest of it. See what time we got. We're going to call it 11:10 start time, even though the time isn't important. What we're looking for is the color. We want to get a nice brown color, and today with all this wind and the temperature, I have a feeling we'll just have some hot spots too besides the color. It's going to be tough to control even heat with the wind. Okay, you take your palm in the hand. This is something Keith Shannon came up with that works. It works better than anything else. You can't measure the height because temperature and wind and everything changes the heat. You can't use the thermometer because as you approach it, it starts going up. Take your hand, the palm of your hand, and go up underneath the lid. 1, 2, 3, and then you can't hold it no more. That's the right temperature. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. It's getting hot. I got my stick. The two important things that I always say that you need are big fireplace gloves and a stick. So the end is a little hot. All I do is I knock it down a little bit. You don't want to get, the idea isn't to have wood scorched or burnt. The idea is to have it cooked. Okay, so knock down the coals and try it again. 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. See, we got that end cooking hot now. It's working. All right, and because you knock down some of these coals with this stick. Okay. Go over this one now. See, we're in between. 1 inch makes it a little too hot. So we compromise and go up the next one. There we go. And like I said, we don't want it scorched, we want it cooked. And this has only been going for 15 minutes, but what we got to do is, look at this. Every so often, besides knocking off ash and adding coals, you see how I'm turning this? That heat is getting the moisture out of this wood. Just to tell you, I have this board aligned equally on both sides going down. But over here by the riser, there's a slight bow. And that is just the shape of the wood. This side is just a little more wood. If you look, it's perfectly even on the other side. The limbs, if you look at the distance of the limbs, this will just have to be taken down on the belt sander. It's just a little extra material, a little bow here. So some stuff, after you get it cooked and you look at alignment, we know the limbs are aligned, but over here by the riser, one section's a little wider, and we could straighten that out after we fire harden it. Because I painstakingly went over it several times to make sure that the limbs from the tips down are absolutely straight and not twisted. And like I said, with these recurves, when you put a string on them, when you finally get a string on them, sometimes you have to make a little correction. It's just the way it is. I'm hoping not, but there always is a little correction that has to be made. Hopefully you can see a little of the moisture's coming out the end. I checked with my moisture meter, it's about 5%. But there's still enough moisture in there that's coming out. You see it bubbling, because you know why? With these cups I made, it's actually browning all the way around the curve. It's working really good. It's working better than I thought. Okay, what's nice about these aluminum pans that I bent to get the coals higher, which are working really well. It was a little too close, and they're really getting cooked good. So what I was able to do was slide this tray out a little bit more, because it's a tray. See the tray here? I was able to slide it out a little bit and to get proper heat, because it was too close. But it is working outstanding, actually. Like I said, this stick is really important. And where the riser handle is, you don't want it burnt, but you want the fade outs brown, and they are getting nice and brown. Okay. I'll lift it up and give you a peek after it's been cooking for about an hour, but it's coming along real good. The other thing is, you see the smoke coming off the coals. What you have to pay attention is you don't want smoke coming off the wood. You don't want this scorched. You can't help it with the high winds. You get high spots. And when you tiller it, because it's going to be very heavy, it's 1/2 inch thick. And if I'm going for a 47-pound hunting bow or a 37-pound 3D bow, I'm still not sure yet. You know, a lot of that, if it gets scorched, will come off when you sand it to tiller it. Sand it or scrape it with the card. While that recurve's cooking, I thought I'd come back and just check out my targets here. I showed you on another video I made these backstops kept blowing down in the high wind that we had. And all I did was I drilled holes through the base of the 4x4 and put instead of rebar, these happen to be extra deer legs that I had. So when the wind blows, they hit against these spikes that I have sticking up, and it don't topple over. And it worked out real well, because we had some really heavy winds it withstood. So that's all. Just wanted to show you that today while I'm waiting for the wood to cook. Okay, the wind's got these coals cooking hot. A little sneak peek here at the end. Look at the curves. The curves are getting color. See? Okay, this has been cooking for an hour. I'm going to show you what it looks like underneath. Then I'm going to knock off all the ash and put coals on. We're going to cook it for another hour or so. Starting from the center. Look at the color. We got the color in the fades. Going to the right. Going around the curve. You got curve all the way almost except for the tips, the very tip. Okay, now we're going to go back from the riser. We got color in the fades. We're going up and around. Going up around. We got color all the way down except for the very, very tips. Okay. I'm going to knock off more ash and then put more coals. And then we're going to let it cook some more. Want it to get cooked through, because I know I'm going to be taking off a lot of material. It's going to be a heavy recurve, and we got to make it either a hunting bow for 47 for me, or 37 for a 3D bow. It's the end of the hunting season now. I'm really like, I don't know what to do. Okay, low and slow is always the goal for this year. And the idea is not to scorch it, because you're not doing nothing but coloring the surface of the wood. It has to cook through, all right? Wood combust at 300 degrees or so, depending on the species of wood. And fire hardening takes place around 240 degrees. So after an hour, we see we have that nice color. We got a nice color going on. It looks like it's about done from the color-wise. But what happened was we have such high wind blast gust, and you saw the coals red, that we had such high heat. I want to give it another hour to make sure that that heat permeates through the wood. And once again, we check the temperature with our palm underneath the limb, right underneath, and we count to 1, 2, 3. And at the third count, you should not want to hold your hand there anymore. I mean, it's all common sense. You don't want to burn your hand, but that's such a great indicator, because nothing else can tell you the accurate temperature. You know, the thermometers don't work because they just go up. They'll go up to the temperature of the coals. The height of the coals change with a day like today that's in the 30s and wind blowing. The coals will be a little lower to get the temperature. All right, so I'm going to let it cook, and I'm going to check the temperature with the palm of my hand, and after an hour we'll show you what it looks like. I only put this fire hardening back set jig for a recurve. I'll only put 1 inch of back set in the board because of the recurve ends, and I don't want to stress anything out too much. And we're going to see how it comes out. Just wanted to put a little bit in there. And it's only got a little while to go, another 15-20 minutes to go. And like I said, the time isn't important, but we have the color already. I just want to make sure the color is deep enough. I want to make sure that the fire hardening is deep and it's just not color from the wind gust, you know, coloring the wood. So we're letting it go a little longer. It's almost time for me to show you what it looks like. Has the color. It's been going for 2 hours. I'm going to take it, I'm going to put it on the table, and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, this has been going for 2 hours. You can check out the color. It's been sitting here for about 10 minutes. It's nice and cool. I'm going to take off the clamps, and I'm going to show you what it looks like. Check it out. Took the shape of the form nicely. Okay. We'll show you that little bit of back set. And 1 inch of back set, right? Looking really good. I'm really happy. It came out beautiful. Okay, let's check out the fire hardening itself. Okay, we got color in the fades. Okay. Color all the way down to the tips, just about to the end. I'm going to put buffalo horn tips on this, and there's a separate video on how to put the buffalo horn tips on you could watch. Okay, so this is going to get hydrated right now. It's cool, it's been sitting, and there is no moisture in this. Zero moisture in this. And we got a soaking wet rag here. And this is going to be wet throughout the night. Well, not throughout the night, through the rest of the day, because it's going to be freezing tonight. So it's going to have to come in the house. But right now, it's just about above freezing. The wind chills are in the 20s. But look, see how much don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. You see all the water I'm putting on this? Don't be afraid after you fire harden or heat treat bows. Don't be afraid to get moisture in them, okay? And, you know, when you put moisture on wood, sometimes you get the fibers of the grain coming up, which is okay. You want moisture in here. When you're all done, you could sand it around the edges, and then you could tiller it, okay? But you got to put moisture in here. This is the only way to get moisture in these things, is because they're reading 0. You sucked all the moisture out with the heat, but you changed the structure of the wood so it'll retain that back set, so it'll shoot faster and harder. And it shoots, I'm going to say it shoots just as good as my Osage bows. Okay, so tillering is the next challenge with a recurve tillering. You saw how I do the micro tillering on my last bow I made. Okay, toxic curves that wound up having a grain lift. So this has got a little wider limb down a little further. Should take care of that. Plus it's hickory. Hickories are really good, dependable wood. All right, that's all I'm going to show you for now. Next, you'll see the horn tips on it. Like I said, I have a video on it. You'll see me tillering it, and if everything works out, you'll see me shooting it. It is the last time I'm hydrating this recurve because it's starting to get cold. Last time I'm hydrating it outside here. I'm going to make sure it's nice and wet. Put moisture back in. I'm going to leave it out here, and then it's going to go in the house. And eventually, like I said earlier, it's going to have horn tips and we're going to tiller it. I really suggest that you go to Shannon Outdoors, Keith Shannon's site, and you buy the fire hardening video that he made. Because it's going to change if you're a bow maker like me. I've been doing this for over a year now, just a little bit over a year. And it changed everything for me because it allows you, this was a live tree a little more than 2 months ago. And now it's a shootable bow that's equal to, you know, some of the better woods like Osage that I have. It's going to shoot the same. So I would go there. It's money well spent. Buy his fire hardening video. Check it out. You can go locally, get whitewoods, and you could fire harden them, and you could shoot them. Within a couple of days of cutting them down and shaping them, you could fire harden them and have a bow. It's really incredible, okay? That's all. I just wanted to add that on. You know, you got to give credit where credit's due. Thank you, Keith Shannon, for all your help and for your fire hardening video. I suggest everybody go buy it. It's money well spent. No tillering or working on the bow for a couple of days. It's going to be real cold. Some light snow today. Gotta wait for it to get a little warmer. It's been really cold outside, and there's a little snow on the ground, and it's going to be cold all week. And I got this bug. I want to get this bow started tillering a little bit, the recurve. So I had too much coffee tonight. It's 11 o'clock at night. My wife's upstairs sleeping. She can't hear what's going on. And I'm going to go tiller this down here and run in the garage. I have the shop vac and the belt sander, and I just want to start it, get it flexing a little bit. So that's the plan. It's going to be very heavy. I'm going to have to take off a lot of weight, but we're going to, what I'm going to do now is, you see the 1-inch back set. It looks good, right? It looks really good. I'm going to try to bring it level or a little less than level, and like I say, it's going to be a lot of weight. I'm going to take some marks off of that spots that's not bending. And then what we'll do after that is I'll run out to the garage. I'll take those spots off, and then I'll make some even weight reduction on a belt sander. So let's see what we got here. Yeah, it's crazy heavy. So let's see what we got. And what I did was I measured down. You can see where the curve started, right? That's what I did, where the curve started to go up. And I measured it from the bottom to here at 6 1/4, 6 1/4 there. I marked the fades, and I marked the middle of the fades. So I have reference points. Okay, you can see we got a little bend going on there. And we need a little material taken off here. Okay, a little material there. This is just the very starting of this here. Okay, we got a bend going on here, but we need material taken off of here. Okay, let's see what we got over here. There we go, that's better. And a little on the end here. Okay. And what I'm going to do is go back and forth and take off some material. I took off 40 strokes and the spots that were high, because I know it's very heavy and it's still very heavy. I pulled it down. Let's see what kind of bend we're getting here. Okay, we're getting a nice bend now. Pretty nice, okay? Let's see what kind of bend we get over here. Yeah, this one needs a little more bending. A little bit more here in the middle. Looks like a flat spot here. Just think we're going to take this off for now and come back to it. Got a lot of trips to make back and forth. That was 40 strokes and I'm pulling it down and it's still heavy. It's a light belt I have. And what I'm doing with it is here's the flat belt. And I'm going on the flat belt back and forth counting strokes. I'm going to take it out and come back. This is the third time I'm coming back. Let's see what we got here. Actually got a pretty nice bend going on here now. Well, maybe a little bit more here over here. Just a little bit. Let's see what we got here. Really got a nice bend over here too. Okay, but I can tell pulling it down, it still needs some weight reduction, believe it or not. Now I got to take it easy because the first time with the dull belt, and I know from the prior bows I made, I did 40 strokes, did another 40 strokes, it's still heavy. Now I'm going to do like 10 strokes at a time, or less, it depends, but it feels really heavy. Okay, I was pulling down 38 pounds. And again, it's with a loose string. It's nowhere near putting the string on. I'm just getting them flexing down a little bit, you know, a little past even. I'll be back and forth a couple of times, and just to let you know, I have it, the limbs are bending pretty even, and they're bending 1 inch in a minute. Rather than bending a 1/2 inch on each side. Half inch perfect on each side. Five eighths. And 1 inch. Take it again. Okay, so this is 1/8 of an inch less, so we're going to take off material along here. And it looks just so good, I don't want to touch it. So we're going to take a little material off here and get this to bend equal with that. We're at, just for numbers, these numbers mean nothing because it's a loose string. But we're at 16 and a half, so let's see what 16 and a half brings us. 38 pounds, 38 pounds. Okay, so we're not down where we can put a string on that. Remove some weight on that side, more, and take off a little on both sides. Now we're going a little at a time, because all of a sudden, the other thing too I want to tell you, when you're taking off weight, look at the thickness of the limbs every couple of strokes. Whether you're using sandpaper, a cabinet scraper, look at the sides, look at the thickness. You don't want one side thicker than the other side. You want them even. Bring out a ruler, check it out. You want them even. Okay, it could be the limbs like these fade outs here a 1/2 inch and they taper down, but you want each side of the limb to be the same as best as you can get it. Okay, like I always said with recurves, they always need some tweaking. You can't tell until after you start bending. And that limb over there, the left side, the left limb, is out of whack. It needs to be bent this way. So I got to stop, put some clamps on it, heat treat it, a little leverage, see if I could straighten it out. I turned it around just to confirm, and it is. That limb is definitely has to be realigned. Okay, the bottom of this tip here, okay, before I put the clamps on, was 36. Let's see what we got here. 36.5. Okay, now it's down to 36. I'm going to heat it up, and I wanted to get it to go a little past here. Okay, at this point I corrected the limb twist, and we're going to see what we got here. Got 1 1/8 inch. Well, I'm going to make this correct here. Yep, 1 1/8 inch. Okay, we've got 1 inch over here. So I have to take material off this side here. Okay, it looks like we got just a little less than 1 1/2. Looks like we're even. Okay, let's see how it looks. Okay. Looks like 1 3/8 actually. Let's see what we got here. Okay, 1 3/8. We got 1 3/8 on both sides now. And we're getting to the point where we can put a string on it. But this limb is a little bit of a concern for me. I'm going to just check it out one more time. I may have to heat it up again. This one may have to get heated up and twisted a little bit. Yep, this one's going to get heated up a little bit. Draw an arrow where it's got to go. See where it is. Let's make sure this is the way it's supposed to be, is straight. Coming down straight. Okay. Okay, let me straighten this one out a little bit. Okay, this side, the way it's clamped is 36.5, and it's got to go this way a little bit. It's got to go up. So let's see if we can make it a little bit more than 36.5 with the clamps, with the leverage and heat. It's about 36.75 with the clamps leverage, and I'm going to heat it up from the back, from the belly actually, heat it up from the belly, and see what we get. Okay, that side I tried to correct it. It needs a little more heat, a little more correcting. I'm going to give it one more shot and then see if I can straighten it out. If not, it's going to have to wait till tomorrow. It's getting late. As much as I couldn't sleep, it's getting ready. It's getting time for bed. So I'm going to try heating it up one last shot. Okay, I made a big difference on the heat treating on that. Another 15 minutes with leverage, like you saw in the pictures with the clamp. Okay, so on this limb, it has to get twisted a lot down this way. Put an arrow. And then over here on this limb, it's got to get twisted up, and I put an arrow. Okay, so there's a lot of work that has to be done on these limbs. And I got to tell you, it was a little bit to string it too. So I'm going to unstring it, and maybe I'll mark where they are now and see if we can correct it. Okay, it's all the way on the edge here. And then I'll mark over here. It's all the way on this edge here too. A lot of work. Okay, I got the one limb corrected. Back to the drawing board on this one here. You see I moved it a little bit where the line was. It's got to go over a lot more. It's got to be twisted a lot more. Okay, I got this one limb that bends severely. See, it bends severely. And I can't correct it with heat. Okay, I finally got the string aligned and have it even tilted. And I heat treated it over and over and over again. And as I changed the limb angle, I had to tiller it, sand it to get it even. So I wound up with a 30-pound bow. I got another 30-pound bow. The goal was 37. I wanted to make a 37-pound bow for 3D because hunting season's over. And it didn't work out. So I'm gonna set this over here and just see what it looks like when I play it back. I don't know if it's further enough back. $28. 28 pounds. Well, I'm disappointed because of that limb twist. Just couldn't get rid of the limb twist. And the more I heated it and twisted it, I had to change the tiller and drop the weight. So you know what time it is now? It's bedtime. As I was making my recurve, and I decided it was going to be a 3D recurve for me, so I could use it for 3D shooting, and I still may. The top limb was twisted as I started to, go down the tiller and get it close to putting the string on it. And when I got a string on it, the string was almost off. So after several times last night, it was like an all-nighter I pulled last night. Why? Because I think I'm out of my mind. I heated it up and I got it fairly straight. So I said, I'll worry about it in the morning. So this morning, I put string grooves in. I got the bottom limb perfect. And it took me a while to get the top limb because as I pull it back, top limb wants to twist. And it still wants to twist a little bit to the right. And there's really not much I could do about it. And as far as the tiller goes, the ends are even here. Okay, but in here, this needs a little bit more meat taken off. But I don't want to do nothing right now. I'm going to shape the handle at some point, cut a shelf in it, and I'm going to shoot some arrows through it and see how bad this twist is. See if there's any way I could overcome this twist. But I heated up a big section of the limb. Tried to just twist the limb too, you know, from here down. Trying to see if I can overcome the bend. And this is the best I got so far. But let's see if you can see the top limb. Let me see. I have to really watch. I mean, it's almost, as I pull it back, it wants to dip down this way. You know, I almost got it perfect, but I don't think there's anything more I could do to it. Because as I pull it back and it's under pressure, that's when it leans over, okay? So, it is what it is. I'll shape it, I'll shoot it. I'll see what it's gonna be, all right? As long as I'm able to shoot it and the string don't come off after I shape the handle and all, it's good. Okay, so it's really brutal outside. And I went outside long enough to shape the handle. And this is what I got. Put a shelf in it, sanded it, set the knock. The limb really isn't that bad. We're going to take a couple of shots and see what happens. Make sure the string don't pop off, everything's good. It's actually pretty fast. Let me cant it a little bit more. Here we go. Let me send the bare shaft down there. Okay, let's go check it out. Touching arrows down there. I mean, it's really close. Of course, I'm touching arrows, but... Okay. Take a look. Okay, let's see what a bare shaft is. Oh, that bare shaft actually, let me pull the other arrows out. Look, that bare shaft's pretty good. So these are 700 entradas with 75 grain tips. These are 700 entradas with 75 grain tips. And they're flying really good and fast out of this thing. I gotta tell you, for like a 28-pound bow, 29-pound bow, whatever it is now, probably 28 at my 26.5, it's really kicking them. So I'm happy. Could I shoot this for 3D? Yeah, I could go shoot this for 3D. I think it's fast enough. So anyway, that's the end of this video. But the moral to the story is that I honestly believe that when you fire harden these whitewood bows, that was a living tree. That was living 2 months ago, a hickory tree 2 months ago. Okay, and the fire hardening, when you fire harden a longbow, let's say a hickory longbow, it shoots really fast and hard. And you get maybe a couple feet per second more with a recurve, maybe, and it's a lot of work. You know, I did some chronographs. You see, I had some chronographs of longbows and my recurves, and they were only a couple of feet per second difference, and they were fire hardened. So the bottom line is it worth the trouble for a recurve? They look nice, maybe the curve looks nice, you know, it's challenging, it's something to do, but I think I'd rather stick to the speed design that I have for the longbows, that narrow limb, and fire harden them. And I think it's definitely too much work and too much trouble to get a couple of feet per second more speed. Other than, like, you know, you're bored and you want to make a recurve. But as far as performance and shooting the bow goes, I'll stick to the fire hardened longbows. All right, that's the end of it. Thanks for watching. You know, things don't work out. You know, sometimes you get that black cloud over, you can't shake it, but it is what it is, all right? There was something in the wood, the grain, or whatever it was, that even when I got it aligned, as I started pulling it back, it created a little twist, a little bend. And I bent a section of limb to eliminate it. So, pretty good now. I got a good shooting bow. Thanks for watching. Watch my other videos on Bear Bow Joe.